Cool. So just gonna touch up EUEG. So EU is in a pretty, I would just say, interesting spot, right? Because in terms of intraday, right, this is, well, in terms of swing, this is looking like this can, continue lower, right? In terms of playing this high, this low, this could be the premium, right? Break of structure from now an intraday compared to the swing bias, and it looks like this could go lower, right? Which is scary, right? Because if we take out this low now, there's a pretty good chance this can really give us a good retracement, right? But I'm covered both ways. I'm in from the bottom and I'm in from the high, so it's it's a matter of patience now, right? So interesting thing looking here, right, from a now intraday perspective, right? We had our distribution occur on, when was this? On the 6th, right? Today's the 8th, 7th, right? So yesterday morning, right? Very obvious. Buying climax, secondary test, up thrust, UTAD, test of UTAD. I entered on the test, right? And then LPSY. This could be another LPSY, but it's in a weird spot right now because this is our, I'd say this is a larger intraday time frame, whereas now on a 15-minute right, we gave the reaction from the premium, right, which was, I was looking at a 1-minute wick here, right, but it was nothing crazy. There was a 1-minute wick here. I can even show it to you guys, right? But it's very tough. It was very tough to even look for a POI when this is just straight up melting, right? So if anything, this entire thing just looks like inefficient pricing to an extent. But there is the wick there. Which is where that high essentially was pretty much where yesterday's high. That's essentially yesterday's high. I'm sorry. And then from there, right, had this scalping break of structure, right, came back into premium, and essentially gave re-entries to give lower during New York, right? But now that is the reaction. This entire thing is a reaction. So my issue now with this is the fact that it's stalling. And when we're looking at just this entire range here, right, so my lowest is my high, we can easily take out these lows, right, give a liquidity grab, maybe get some inefficient pricing, and then go higher, right? But the issue now is that your swing bias is bear, technically, right? Your position bias is bullish, right? We've been bullish for months, but our swing bias has broken structure, technically, so that's bearish. Right, the overall intraday picture looks bearish, right? The smaller intraday term isn't looking kind of bullish, right? So you see why, essentially playing the short is technically safer, right? But I'm still willing to bet that this can go up. We just need a significant structure break to occur. Like, for example, if we take this distribution, right, that's a wrap. Right, but I acknowledge that there is a redistribution occurring, which is why I'm in from the test of the distribution in there, right? And something supporting that distribution bias too is like looking at the XY, right? From an H4, right? This is looking bullish. This is looking bullish, right? We took out our equal highs here, right? We had a structure shift here, right? We never achieved the premium, right? Which means there's liquidity sitting here, right? Hence why this wick hasn't been broken. There is a ton of liquidity just sitting here, right? So the only way that we're gonna reach that liquidity is if this minor intraday shifts to the downside, right? Because we're seeing this correction occur, and I call it a correction based off of momentum, right? Momentum looks very strong here, more corrective here, right? So looking at intraday, right? I'm looking at structure, right? No lower highs have been broken until here, right? This is our final structural point that led to essentially this final lower low, right? And that's been broken, and now this looks like, you know, it's being very corrective in terms of comparing it to this momentum. So this, right, for me, the breaking point is definitely inside this wick here. This is the breaking point. I want to see a reaction to see if this is either going to bounce or this is going to fall, break, and then this bearish scenario is now targeting those equal lows that I'm telling you about here. So technically structure is saying bullish, but because my position bias is still saying bearish, right, that's where those conflicting matters occur, and I'm pretty much prepared to go both ways. Right. No, yeah, we can. 100% we can. Yeah, 100% we can still go higher, right? But like I said, my position bias is still lower, so it's just, you know, I'm pretty much preparing myself to play both sides. All right, so overall, this is looking like it does want to give a push up, right, based off of this overall swing structure here. But don't forget that we are still macro bearish, right? And that will only change if we start seeing a very impulsive move up, and we see a very solid correction, and then we see another move up which breaks this. That's now challenging, right, 90 something percentage of this entire range here, right? But because there is structure here and it's not just looking messy, right, that's what's gonna incline me to pretty much convert my bias. And a good example of that, let me show you. This one right here. Damn. Right, so here I'm bullish on this, right? And let me tell you why. Right, our overall trend is still bearish, right? Hence from the monthly momentum, we all know this, right? Looking at structural points, right? This is that corrective move that I'm saying, right? Very messy, very sloppy, but we had a very impulsive move to the upside, right? Then we have one last push. I consider that liquidity grab, right? We left equal highs, relative equal highs here, took those out, came back, broke structure, right? But this reaction to the downside is just a premium of that trend there, because this is pretty much the last low, the last high, is essentially a premium, right? And that's now broken intraday structure. So now this can easily start coming up, right? So even though we broke intraday structure here, if we break this high, this should easily be going up, right? But the only reason why I'm assuming that is because the structure is looking clean, right? If the structure is messy as it is here, I'm more pretty much attentive to want for that short bias, right? But the only reason why I wasn't looking for shorts here is because from a grand scheme, right, this is so low and overextended. You get what I'm saying? So now that that has essentially flopped and we're now challenging previous structure, right, all these lower highs I'm just looking at as opportunities, right, to take out not only these equal highs, but to potentially get a very good swing, right? That alone will be a 500, 600 pip move, right? Not necessarily, and you don't necessarily have to catch the entire thing, but you know, have a bias to play off of. So this scenario, if this keeps going up, right, I can see that same scenario happening with EURUSD. It just all depends on the reaction from that H1 POI that I told you about, and how we challenge this high. If we challenge this high with momentum, right, we're bullish, right? But if we challenge it and then just come right back, then, you know, this can technically, you know, just continue lower, right? And that goes to EG as well, right? We have an impulsive move up, right? Corrective move, right? But we're bearish on this because of the entire macro bias from the distribution playing out, right? So now we just need the swing bias to essentially support it, right? So just like we saw in GA, that we saw that corrective move and then it just spiked up, right? That could easily be the same thing that we see here, just because there's so much confluence, right? So we're seeing this corrective channel, right? We've already broken the intraday structure twice, right? And we've now challenged these equal highs. But look at what happened, right? We had our liquidity grab because we literally tapped it, right? Essentially just barely took them out and then came right back in a range, right? And now this is creating a narrative to the downside because liquidity has been taken and structure was not broken, right? So what does that essentially lead to? A very nice closure, right? So unless this spikes up during London, right, I can easily see this start to roll out, right? Because like I said last Zoom, right, our only obstacle is that 50% there, right? And we've already tapped that. But if we can come back and take out the fill with momentum, right, then we're now approaching deep waters in terms of this range, right? And literally what we're seeing here, right, where we see essentially equal highs, we challenge the highs, come right back down, and then continue lower. That's essentially what we're seeing in the grand scheme of things. Equal highs, we come back, and then we come back in a range, monthly liquidity grab, and then that could create the follow through, right? So that's essentially what prices fractal means, right? Tendencies repeating themselves. So if this entire thing plays out, even if this scenario starts playing out, then this entire scenario is going to play out, because literally it's doing the exact same thing, just from a different overall picture. Do you get what I'm saying? Right, does that make sense? Right, tendencies and fractal nature. That's pretty much your little lesson for today, right? That if this is continuing bearish, right, you now understand why. This could be an entire liquidity grab to the downside in terms of an entire swing bias. And you can literally be saying the same thing here, right? Obviously the condition itself, right, is completely different because we're coming back. This is coming from a downtrend, this is coming from an uptrend, right? But the tendency is still the same, right? Different scenario, same tendency. So if we break the structure, easy, right? And we've seen this before, right? Like literally I called out that UJ to you guys, right? This intraday quote unquote distribution, right? People call this distribution, right? I didn't call that distribution, right? Mainly because, for one, where is it occurring? It's not occurring at the top of a range. This, if anything, is just a continuation of structure, right? This liquidity grab here was so fast, right? Like I said, I would have wanted to be in from here, right? But sadly, this is during London. I wouldn't have gotten that, right? And what happened? Right, this now took structure to the upside and completely killed off this bias, right? So it can happen, right? And this occurred because of the entire daily bias that I'm telling you about, right? Here, liquidity grab and came right back up, right? And then you consider that to overall corrective structure from a monthly liquidity grab. Right, price is fractal. It's doing the exact same thing. Right, monthly liquidity grab. Right, corrective move up. Right, liquidity grab from the entire corrective move. So who knows, you know? But now you see why. Right. So do you guys have any questions with that? But Aldo, what did I just tell you? Yeah, stop screaming. You heard me too. Stop screaming. Shut up! ¿Saben que hago cosas el miércoles a las 9 de la noche? Porque lo hago every week. Damn. What is considered a fractal? I would say a fractal is just a natural tendency of a pair. That's what I would consider it. It's always used, but I'm not sure I know what the actual definition. So, yeah, I mean, most people consider prices fractal to just be like how structure works, and that's so basic, and it doesn't really make much sense because structure in every pair is so different, right? So I'm thinking overall picture. So if you want like a raw definition, I would definitely say a natural tendency of a pair. So yeah, hope that makes sense. Right, like for example, tons of pairs love to do that, right? Some pairs love to do this, right? Some pairs just love to come up and then come right back down, give a small corrective continuation, right? Those tendency repetitions, right? You see them from an intraday scalp time frame to a swing macro time frame. But yeah. Yeah, I haven't yeah, I see that. I definitely see that. Right, the only reason why I'm even considering it coming down now is because of the distribution, right, from an intraday perspective, right? But the issue with the intraday perspective now, right, is as you're pointing out, structure. Structure's already failed to break, right? And this looks like this can easily pop up from an intraday perspective, right? Just due to the fact that that intraday, as I said, was bullish. It could easily just pop down and then come back up, with this being an intraday target, right? And then overall looking for something here, right? But if this comes up with momentum, then just be careful with that. I thought fractals were different time frames of market structure. I've never heard that be said anywhere. I've never ever heard that. Like honestly, I don't even know the definition of what everybody else uses for fractals. I used to never use the term, to be honest. The only reason I use fractals is because it fits in that overall picture that I'm trying to say. ICT people use that word a lot. Yeah, fuck those guys. They're annoying. I'm so happy that we finally established that I don't trade ICT concepts, because that is so annoying, man. But yeah, other than that, do you guys have any questions, any discussions, anything? Actually, hold on. Let's see who's on this call. Was anybody in here on Sergio's previous mindset call? Was anybody in here? Garen was in it. Juan, you were in it. Yeah, you see, something I noticed, because I was working out while he was doing that call, right? Something I noticed is that there's, you know, if anybody ever feels, how do I say it? Like, for example, me, when I first started, I really felt very, very lonely in this journey and, you know, very, very lost. And something that Sergio does in those calls is he gets really personal with you. And when somebody gets really personal with you, that essentially allows you to not only be transparent with them, right, but now he can give you genuine advice about issues that you see, because everybody has issues. I don't care who you are, everybody has issues. I have a fuck ton of issues. Ask Sergio, but don't ask him which. All right. But so you see, right, when somebody gets personal with you like that, I feel like anything that somebody says to me, it will resonate with me a whole lot more instead of just me reading something online, right? And having that one-on-one discussion, essentially, right? Because not even 5 people hop on the calls, right? So you can even ask him to talk to you after the call to essentially keep everything private if that's what you want. Yeah, no one will support you, but at the end of the day, me and Sergio support you. And that's fine. It's definitely not for everybody. Like some people, like I'm just telling you that it's there. That's all I'm saying, is that it's there. Yep, it's all about your mind and emotions. But also keep in mind we have a range of, oh, come on. Where's fuck? Oh, I know y'all hear that. Fuck. Like, that's so irritating. Alright. They're chill now. That completely lost my entire train of thought. Maybe they're lonely too. No, they have each other, and I see them every day for at least 30 minutes. Like, I'm with them every day for 30 minutes at least. So, no, they're not lonely. But yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's there. And that's pretty much all I was saying, I think. Do you think it's wise to refine POI down to 5 minutes? Depends. What's your real name, bro? Oh, you're BG. Okay, you're BG. Yeah, so it depends. It depends if you're using limits or if you're using reactions. Nah, no. It's not anything with that we use. It's when they hear sirens, whether it's an ambulance, a fire truck, or a cop, if they hear anything like that, then they just start howling. Like, it's all day, every day. But yeah, other than that, do you guys have any questions? But yeah, no worries, no worries. Yeah, we're so close to getting the website fixed, and we're gonna get a bunch of more analytics. We get to see where you're logging in from. We get to see if you're logging in from different places. We can see, obviously, you're gonna have the watermark. We're almost done, so almost done. But we finally found a path. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, hopefully I can finally get back to posting content on the website. But yeah, I mean, at least we're still doing these Zooms every week. Oh yeah, I see that. Dope. Yeah, bro, there's a whole bunch of new people now. I think, how many people in here are from the old Visionaries? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We only have like 5 in here. What's the next sneaker cop? I just want some more dailies, bro. I don't want to spend that much on shoes anymore. If anything, I need to sell a bunch of shoes that I already have, because I have like 4K worth of inventory just sitting there. But I'm kind of waiting for it to go up, for everything to go up. Yeah, actually, I need to sell a bunch of stuff, and then I'm just gonna keep flipping it. Yeah, I mean, like, for example, I'm gonna sell my custom PC. I'm gonna sell this old monitor. I'm gonna sell like 6 pairs of shoes. I'm gonna sell I guess some more stuff that's under my bed. What kind of PC? It's a custom PC. I have to look at the boxes to show you the specs. But it has 32 gigs of RAM. It's a solid i5. It's a very good motherboard, from what I know. You graduate next year, hopefully. I'm tired of school already.